Arriving in Havana, the first thing I recommend you do is take a classic car tour of this vibrant city. The tour company collected me in the morning from the Casa Particulares. My tour guide Angel gave me a whirlwind tour of the city which lasted about 6 hours and cost 130 kuk for 2 people. We first went to the Christ of Havana statue and El Morro, which gave a fantastic perspective of Old Havana. The Malecon, which refers to the 8-kilometre roadway, sidewalk and seawall separating Havana from the ocean, is an iconic symbol of the city. Next stop was Hotel Nacional de Cuba, which is located on the seafront of the Vedado District. This is a national monument and considered a symbol of history, culture and Cuban identity. Since the 1930s, it attracted a large number of personalities such as Winston Churchill, Marlon Brando and Frank Sinatra, to name a few. Havana recently celebrated its 500th anniversary since its founding. In the hotel grounds, there is a small museum on site that shares the story of the Cuban Missile Crisis. The museum is located in a system of underground tunnels that form a circle beneath the hotel's gardens. The Vedado District is more residential and is a neighbourhood that many habaneros and tourists choose to stay in as it is quieter than Old Havana. Grand Hotel Manzana is located in the heart of Old Havana. It has a fantastic rooftop bar and a pool to relax in, which offers great views of the city and served one of the best mojitos I had in Cuba. Across from the Grand Hotel Manzana is El Floridita. This is a historic restaurant and cocktail bar which is famed for being the birthplace of the daiquiri and Ernest Hemingway's local drinking horn. Nowadays it is a busy tourist spot with an electric atmosphere which offers different flavoured daiquiris and live music. Plaza Vieja is one of the 4 main plazas in Old Havana. It is architecturally very beautiful and has many bars, restaurants and cafes which offer a terrace view. Here I visited Camera Obscura, which is an optical device that gives a 360-degree live image of Old Havana projected onto a screen inside the tower. It is open from 8:30 am to 5:30 pm daily and costs 2 kuk per person. The rooftop here also gives you another chance to view the city. Just a short walk away is Plaza De Armas, which is commonly filled with live music. For lunch, Angel recommended Kilometer Zero restaurant, which is located in central Havana. The live music here, which most restaurants in Havana have, was fantastic. The ropa vieja or shredded beef was some of the best I tried in Cuba. The cocktails here were also delicious and I highly recommend this place for lunch or dinner. Also, part of the tour was a visit to El Capitolio, which is an iconic building in Havana and is one of the most important landmarks of the city. It is often compared to the US Capitol building in Washington, D.C. Distances from Havana are officially measured from this building and the exact spot is marked in the centre of the main hall by a replica diamond. Plaza De San Francisco is a beautiful paved square which is dominated by the Basilica and Tower. This was my favourite square in Old Havana due to the colours and beautiful architecture. This is a statue of Antonio Gades, who was a famous Spanish flamenco dancer. The streets of Havana are full of colour, brimming with live music and locals inviting you in for a drink.
Welcome to the Revolucion Square, okay? So this is the main plaza, the main square in the whole country. It doesn't mean it's the only one, of course, but it's very important because the meaning is about the Cuban Revolution. The tower over there is more than 100 meters high. It's a biggest symbol of the Cuban Revolution. And from the air, the shape of the tower is like a star, the same in the Cuban flag. Which is meaning freedom, independence and victory. And that guy is Camilo Cienfuegos, or that face represents Camilo Cienfuegos, which is, he was a Cuban, he was one of the, like the right hand of Fidel Castro to start the revolution in Cuba against to the Batista's government. And over there, Che Guevara. So that face is very famous around the world. The real name of Che Guevara was Ernesto Guevara de la Serna, but everyone called Che because he came from Argentina. In Argentina, it's a very typical expression between the locals to say, hey Che. So Che means friend. So Che Guevara means friend Guevara. I'm pretty sure he used to talk with the Cubans or Fidel Castro or Raul or whatever, and he used to say all the time, hey Che. So that's why they call Che Guevara. So this space right here is using for special occasions like the Workers' Day, the Mother's Day, when the president's in Cuba, when the Pope was in Cuba. So all the time. But the biggest thing in this place for tourists is that all those beautiful vintage cars over every day. So in other countries, maybe in the United States, you need to go to a special days for the car show. In Cuba, in Habana, boom, every day you see those beautiful cars all over around, and this place is every day.
So I've done my research on the best breakfast spots in Old Havana, and this place, El Cafe, is by far the best place. The food here is really tasty, the coffee is amazing, it's on par with what we get in London, and the service is amazing as well. Definitely recommend coming here. I also went to El Palato and Lo Demonic, and El Cafe is by far the best breakfast spot in Plaza Vieja. I would definitely recommend coming here. Museo de la Revolucion is located in Old Havana and is set in the former presidential palace. Entrance costs 8 kuk and all bags have to be left in the cloakroom upon entry. The museum focuses on the events leading up to, during and immediately after the Cuban Revolution, which is told in English and Spanish. There are also grand exhibit-free rooms which were once used for banquets and as the presidential office. Outside, at the front of the museum, is a fragment of the city wall, as well as a tank used by Castro in the Bay of Pigs battle. At the rear of the museum, there are other replica vehicles associated with the revolution, including a boat, planes, rockets, and an old postal van that was used as a getaway car in the 1957 attack. San Jose Artisans Market is located in the southern part of Old Havana, which is a short taxi ride away. The market resides in a large warehouse which features the work of hundreds of Cuban artists. It is full of paintings, handmade jewellery and other souvenirs. You do, however, find the same art in most stores, so don't feel afraid to haggle. Another recommended place to eat is O'Reilly 304. It is a trendy bar restaurant in Old Havana which specialises in gin. It is the perfect place to share tapas plates with a few cocktails. I made my way to Laguardia, which is the city's most legendary restaurant that has a grand entrance of a marble staircase up 2 flights of stairs. It was used as a location in the Oscar-nominated movie Fresa y Chocolat. It has fantastic views from the rooftop bar, which is popular with tourists. The restaurant serves both Cuban classics as well as contemporary dishes. It has 3 rooms which have a cosy atmosphere with soft lights, and there is also alfresco dining. The food here is more expensive compared to most restaurants in Havana. To avoid disappointment, I would recommend you book a table at least 2 weeks in advance. It is in a part of town with limited street lighting, so I would suggest you get a taxi when visiting here in the evening. On the way to Hotel Inglaterra, I stumbled across the Social Canera Club, which was packed full of locals dancing and drinking the night away. It is a great place to practice salsa and dance with the locals. It had an electric atmosphere and everyone was very friendly. Entry cost 1 cook and drinks were relatively cheap. Hotel Inglaterra is a grand hotel located near the El Capitolio building. As soon as you exit the lift onto the rooftop, you are hit by the live band with a sea of tourists and locals dancing away. The atmosphere is lively and vibrant and another great place to practice your salsa. Habana 61 is a highly rated small restaurant in Old Havana. Unfortunately, I was unable to get a table as you need to book ahead. Luckily, I found 5 Esquinas Trattoria, which is a charming Italian restaurant nearby with outdoor seating and a great atmosphere. Hotel Paseo Del Prado is a new hotel in Havana located along the Malecon. The 360-degree rooftop terrace views were fantastic and a perfect place to have a drink and watch the sunset. Fustalandia is an art installation created by Jose Fuster. He decorated his house and home neighbourhood with art, sculptures and mosaic tiles of every colour and description. Entrance is free and it is about a 20-30 minute drive from Old Havana. You can get a taxi to take you there and back for around 30 kuk. The taxi will wait for you as you explore the artwork, which takes about 30 to 40 minutes. La Bodeguita del Medio is another popular bar with tourists that serves mojitos. Ernest Hemingway is also known to favour the bar when he was in Havana. Calle Espisto is one of the most popular streets in Old Havana. There are several shops and restaurants along the street aimed at tourists. I took a taxi colectivo, which is a shared taxi from Havana to Vinales. It took 2.5 hours and cost 25 kuk per person. Vinales is a small town, but don't let that put you off, as there are a lot of things to do and see here. As soon as I got to my casa, I booked my excursion to Mural de la Prehistórica through the Onel Redel. This is a 120-metre long mural which symbolises the theory of evolution. Entry is 3 kuk and it is located about 4 kilometres from the town centre of Vinales. You can cycle, hire a scooter there, but I decided to take a taxi. At the site there is a bar and restaurant which is a nice location for lunch with lovely views. Hotel Los Jasmines boasts the best views in Vinales and gives a fantastic panoramic view of the valley. It is located just near Pinar del Rio, which is about a 10-minute drive from the town of Vinales. This is the perfect place to enjoy a drink and watch the sunset. The location of the hotel is remote, however there are 2 restaurants in sight. Even if you aren't staying at the hotel, you can use the pool for the day for a small fee. On the way back from Los Jasmines Hotel, I stopped off to do the Zipline Canopy tour. It was fun and gave a fantastic bird's eye view of Vinales as you fly through the air. It cost 8 kut per person and the instructors were friendly and spoke English. The whole experience took about half an hour and I didn't have to book in advance. I organised an excursion to Cayo Hutias, which is a beach about 90 minutes from Vinales. It cost 15 kut per person and we were transported in a comfortable shared minivan. The roads, however, were not well maintained and there were constant potholes along the way, which prolonged the journey. The white sandy beach was beautiful and it was lined with palm trees. You could spot many large birds at the beach. Snorkeling trips and surfing are available if you want to take a break from sunbathing. The facilities are limited with just a few beach shack restaurants, toilets and a changing area. Another beach near Vinales is Cayo La Visa, which is an island reached by a 30-minute boat ride, and there is accommodation on the island if you wish to stay.
Storybox Audio.
There are many restaurants in Vinales, a lot of which offer free Wi to entice you in. However, you will still need one of the internet cards to get access.
Storybox Audio.
Just off the main street, next to 3J's restaurants, is a craft market which sells handmade cigar holders, wooden crafts and paintings. It's a great place to practice your haggling skills as a lot of stalls sell similar things.
Storybox Audio.
3J's or Tres Jotas was my favourite restaurant in Vinales. The food and drink was delicious. It is a little bit more pricey than other restaurants, but in my opinion it was worth it.
Storybox Audio.
When you're in Cuba, you have to try the pina coladas. I'm just at 3J's and I've ordered a pina colada and they've actually given you a bottle of rum so you can add how much rum you want into your pina colada, into your drink.
Storybox Audio.
The next day was the highlight of my stay in Vinales. I went to a tobacco and coffee farm called Finca Randon El Herrado. They gave me a tour of Vinales Valley where I was taken to breathtaking viewpoints.
Storybox
The Casa
Audio.
Particular owner organised a horse and carriage ride to collect and take me to the farm. Even though it wasn't the most comfortable, it was a fun experience. The owner of the farm greeted me and gave me an overview and history of the farm. On the tour he showed me where the tobacco is grown and dried out.
Storybox Audio.
He also demonstrated how to make a cigar and I got to try a cigar soaked in honey which gave a sweetness to the flavour. You can buy cigars and coffee from the plantation which is cheaper than buying it from the shops. I bought 10 cigars and coffee which cost about 30 kuk. Horse riding in Vinales Valley was also part of the farm tour. The horses were well trained and Louise, my tour guide, even joked the horses were semi-automatic. Louise spoke good English and took me to a remote bar set up high in the valley that served
Storybox
coffee
Audio.
as well as cocktails. The views were unforgettable and I really enjoyed the whole experience. My taxi driver Fernando took me to Santa Tomas Cave. Half an hour later I arrived at the destination and I went to the
Storybox
office where I paid
Audio.
my fee of 15 kuk. Here I was also fitted with my helmet and given a short safety guide. The climb up is quite steep, so make sure you bring good walking shoes. This is Cuba's largest cave system which has more than 46 kilometers of galleries.
Storybox
However, only
Audio.
1 kilometer of this is accessible to visitors. The tour lasts about 90 minutes where you get to see bats, stalagmites, stalactites, underground pools and interesting rock formations.
Storybox Audio.
The Cueva del Indio is another popular cave near Vinales. It is about 5.5 kilometers north of Vinales village and to enter it costs 5 kuk. It was originally used as a dwelling by the indigenous people.
Storybox Audio.
There is a steep stone entrance after which you walk through the cave for a short while. The cave is artificially lit and some areas can be narrow. You are then transferred to a motorboat where you travel the final 400 metres along an underground river. The whole experience takes no more than 20 minutes
Storybox
and at the
Audio.
exit there are stalls selling souvenirs and crafts.
Storybox Audio.
Finca El Silencio is a farm and restaurant that was recommended to me by the casa owner Riddell. It's best to get a taxi there as it's quite a distance from the town centre. The owner and waiters couldn't be more friendly and helpful. They serve simple fresh food that is grown on the farm.
Storybox Audio.
It's a set menu of soup, different meats and fish served with vegetables and salad. I was also given a cocktail on arrival. The food here is plentiful, so make sure you come here hungry. It was tasty, very reasonably priced, and I would definitely recommend this hidden gem. The views at sunset were stunning, and it was a perfect finish to my time in Vinales.
Storybox Audio.
I travelled to Trinidad from Vinales using the Visor bus, which takes about 9 hours. I would suggest you get there about half an hour before your departure so you can get your tickets and tags for your luggage. I arrived in Trinidad, which is rich in history and known for its colonial old town and cobblestone streets. After my long journey to get here, the first thing that was on my mind was food. So I'm just at San Jose restaurant in Trinidad. It came highly recommended. The mojitos here are very tasty and the food here is very good. Main start for around 11 cook. I came here between 6:30 and 7 p.m. and got a table very easily, and after 7 they started turning people away, so I would definitely come here earlier if you don't have a reservation. Casa de la Música is a fantastic open-air music venue in central Trinidad just off Plaza Mayor. You can't miss it as the music here is the centre point of the town's entertainment. It has daily live music where you have locals and tourists dancing salsa. The cover charge here is 2 cook. It is great just to walk around the town, take in the sights and admire the colourful buildings. The streets in central Trinidad are mainly cobbled, so wear comfortable shoes. There are a lot of unique art shops here, more so compared to Havana. Casa de la Música is just as lively during the day as it is in the evening. Another great night out is the cave club Disco Ayala, which opens at 11 p.m. each night. The day after, I did a tour of Valle de los Ingenios, which is recognised as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. This cost 20 cook per person by private taxi. The valley is not that big and can be covered in half a day. First stop was Mirador del Lomo del Puerto, which is a lookout at the entrance of the valley that gives some of the best views. There's also a bar here if you want to grab a drink. I also stopped off at Manica Isnaga, which is a bell tower that is one of the most recognisable sites in the region. Going up costs 1 cook and the views are well worth a 7-storey climb up the narrow steep wooden stairs. The train station that brings you in from Trinidad is also located here. This takes about half an hour and leaves from Trinidad town centre at 9:30 a.m. and returns at 2 p.m. daily. This costs 10 cook. The final stop of the tour was San Ysidro sugar plantation, which is a must-see site when visiting the valley. The ruins of this abandoned sugar plantation have been excavated to give a better insight into what life was like here. Admission of 1 cook gives you entry and a tour by Ray. He gives you the history of slavery in Cuba and a touching and well-documented insight into how the slaves lived and were treated here. I've created extended footage of this that can be viewed at the end of this video. The following day I went to Vegas Grande waterfall in Topes de Coyantes National Park. I arranged a private taxi to take me there and back, which cost 30 cook per person. On the way to the waterfall I quickly stopped off at Mirador del Caribe, where you get a fantastic panoramic view. The hike starts off at a coffee plantation where you can get your caffeine hit to get you going for your trek. Entry costs 10 kuk and it takes roughly 1 hour to get there. The trail is not well signposted, so pay attention to directions given. It's quite an easy walk initially, but it gets steeper as you get closer to the waterfall. I recommend you wear hiking shoes and avoid going there if it has rained. There are no facilities there, so bring water and snacks with you, but the hike was well worth the views at the waterfall. I wanted to relax on my last day in Trinidad, so I went to Playa Ancon. It is a 15-minute taxi ride from Trinidad and it costs 5 kuk per person each way. This was my favourite beach in Trinidad as it has gorgeous white sands, the water is crystal clear and it wasn't busy at all, which was the best thing. There are some facilities here with chairs and umbrellas for hire, and you can also take a snorkeling trip to a nearby reef. If you decide to come to Cuba, Trinidad should definitely be on your list. Hi guys, I hope you enjoyed those clips on Varadero. Now I'm going to run through my experience in Varadero and where I stayed and what I did while I was there. Varadero was my last stop in Cuba, and I do have other videos of where I visited in Cuba, so make sure you stay till the end. So you can fly directly into Varadero, but as I was travelling around Cuba, I decided to take the Vedado tourist bus, which took about 6 hours and cost $20 per person. I stayed in the Melia Varadero Hotel. I would recommend you stay in a hotel when you come to Varadero, as there's many to choose from and they will have access to the beach, which is what most people come here for. I did stay in Casa Particulares in the other parts of Cuba that I visited, and they were all fantastic. I think if you want to stay in a casa when you're in Varadero, you have to book it well in advance, as there aren't many here. The hotel is located in the central part of Varadero, and there is a nearby shopping centre and golf club. The hotels are expensive, especially for what you get. They aren't as well maintained and they are a bit dated. However, the service was fantastic and the people were really helpful, like what I experienced in the rest of Cuba. At the hotel, they have daily activities such as yoga, dance lessons and aqua aerobics. They also have entertainment shows in the evening, which include people singing and dancing. The pool is nice and large, and there's a pool bar, which is really nice. The beaches are the main attraction that most people come here for, as I already mentioned, and they have beautiful white sands, clear blue seas. The hotel that I stayed at had a designated area of the beach with sun lounges, and they also have a beach bar, which was really handy. Water sports is also popular here, such as snorkeling, kayaking. You can also take a classic car ride, but I wouldn't choose to do it here over Havana, as there aren't as many sights to see here. So I dined in the hotel most evenings, as it's an all-inclusive hotel. They have several restaurants there. I did venture out one evening and went to a restaurant called Don Alex, which is an Italian restaurant. The food was really nice and the cocktails were really good. I will also link in the description other good popular restaurants in Varadero. Don't expect the food in Varadero to be any better compared to the rest of Cuba. Overall, I found the food in Cuba to be average, and I think this is probably due to the limitations of what they can import in. Overall, Varadero is more expensive than the rest of Cuba, and it is very touristy. It was probably my least favourite part of Cuba, as it didn't feel like the real Cuba. The beaches here are really nice, but the beaches in Trinidad are just as nice. I hope you enjoyed my video on Varadero. Please like and subscribe, and check out my other videos on Cuba too.